Good morning. Actually, after that song, I can pretty much go home, yes? Because Margot just did my very talk. That's it. Let it go, and I'm only here for God, yes? And good morning to all of you. How are you doing this morning? Great. Amen. And we have been studying this very book, right? For the last 3 weeks. How is it going? Good. Yes, for me, it has been radical and very paradigm shifting. And Mel Robbins, I just love her straight up, straightforward. Because even this week, chapter 3, guess what the title is? Shocker, life is stressful. Shocker? Is it shocked? Are you shocked life is stressful? No? Oh, I'm glad you're not. And the thing about this, and even her, she says it, right? If you, for this week, we're going to be reading the book, right? The very first sentence of chapter 3 goes like this. The fastest and most effective way to start using the let them theory is to rise above the countless tiny stressors you face every single day. And she refers to these small, tiny stressors, small annoyances, pet peeves, I think, paper cuts, okay? Yep. And let's take, for example, just getting here this morning. Oh, gosh. Had to practice driving alone, right? Whether you drove 2 minutes or 20 minutes, I can bet you, and I know I did, at people driving. My driving is perfect, others aren't, right? And my biggest pet peeve is when drivers, who turn or change lanes without any signals. Yes, right? And then those are you guys who are online. Slow internet. Right that? Okay, or Zoom's not working. The volume's not working. Those are tiny. If you think you're muted. Exactly. I can't see them. They're small, very small. And the thing about this is that when we don't let them, like the song, we don't let them go and we hang on to the slow internet connection and the slow driver in front of us, or we're hitting every red light from the exit to here, right? Because it feels like that at times, yes? When we do that, Mel Robbins says in the book, we are allowing those very tiny stressors to drain our energy. Ooh, right? No wonder at the end of the day we feel tired, exhausted even. Yeah, aggravated. Ooh, that's a good one, right? So even at the point of aggravation, it hijacks, it kidnaps our emotions, and it robs us our peace of mind. Or we can simply let them. And as John stated last week, and I like this analogy that he had, that saying, let them acts as a circuit breaker. And during the pandemic, remember we can't go out to restaurants and eat out. And my family love going to what you call all-you-can-eat meat buffet, where you actually grill your I remember bulgogi or meat in front of you. So we had that, and we wanted to recreate that experience at home. So my sister, being smart as she is, she bought an indoor grill about the size of this. This is how big it is, really, literally. Plug it in to the outlet. Guess what happens? I wish it's a smoke alarm. That didn't happen. It wiped out the power in the dining room, the kitchen, and my nieces and nephews' bedroom. This tiny thing, it's small. It's not this big smoker or grill that you have in the backyard. Not at all, just this small. Wiped out all of that. So what did my sister has to do to return the power back? Circuit breaker. There you go. So she went downstairs, open the circuit breaker box, reset the switches. And voila, we have the power again. And lesson learned, don't plug it directly to the outlet. Have a surge protector. That's one thing we learned. So the very same thing. And essentially, when we get stressed, right, we can get that way. All of our powers out. We get overloaded, we get overwhelmed, we get deer with the headlights, and then we cannot think straight. How many of you in a stressful situation can think straight? Oh, Paul, Deborah, out of maybe 50 or 60 people in the sanctuary, kudos for you. Okay? And then, and Mel shares that the overall impact of stress in our lives include procrastination. None of you do that, right? Burnout, self-doubt, doom scrolling, our phones, right? And then that's why so we need to become aware of these stress reactions. And I love the question in our Let Them theory, in our study guide, because this is the question, and you can just start thinking about it now. This is your quiz going to be for this week. What patterns or triggers reliably, you can count on it, push you into an automatic stress reaction? Can you identify at least one for yourself? Yes. And can you reliably sure it will push your button? Yes. Good. At least, okay, that's extra credit for this week. And then the thing about it is like once we identify it, like for me, that driver, who will not signal when they're making a change of lane or turning, is that going to bound to happen? Yes. I bet this afternoon, the chances of that happening. Okay, I'll be modest, 80%. Right? And most reliably, it can happen and will happen. So the point is, what am I going to do when that happens? And so I can be that circuit breaker in my sister's house and reset the switch by simply saying, let them. Let that driver not do his signal and turn. Let them. Let him or her do it. And on page 62 of the book, you'll get to see Mel Robbins' outline. After let them, put yourself, after saying out loud, let them, we put ourselves in a pause. And then, for me, the pause simply means I take a breath. And then I say, let me. And in the book, she elaborates it more. Let me take a breath. Let me focus. Because the moment and even with the breathing, when we breathe fully, using our, paying attention to the belly going in and out of our belly, what we are really doing to our nervous system itself, our brain, is we are stimulating what's called the vagus nerve. You probably have heard of it. It's the longest nerve in our body coming from our tailbone up to our head. That's how long it is. And we start calming down the brain, okay? And when we do that, when our brain is calm, can we now think more clearly? Yes. So that's the circuit breaker. That's the power of let them, the circuit breaker for our brain. And then the let me, this dawned on me what let me actually really do for us. When I say let me, it dawned on me that it is opening a gateway from my humanity to my divinity. The let me, and I think the me is not a small m, it's actually the big M, because it's really allowing then at that point for my divine self, for my authentic true self, you can call it the Christ, you can call it the I am, to come forward. And then it's also when I don't know if I love the 12 powers, especially because I've been studying it with Discover Your Divinity. I realize that even when we stop doing the let them, let me, we're putting already powers that we already are. Number one, the most obvious one for me is being the power of will. And will, the power of will, we all innately have that, is our capacity to choose, our willingness. So when I say let them, I'm actually being willing to stop trying, managing other people's behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. And I am choosing at that moment to have, this is the other power we have, the power of power. Meaning, I am letting me have dominion, or they call it self-mastery. And I think the other word that came to me for power is responsibility. Now I'm going to be responsible over my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, and my words for that very driving situation that I'm in. So that's why I love how the let them is the circuit breaker. The let me is our gateway from our humanity to our divinity. And Mel Robbins, next ones, the chapters 5 and 6 that she covered, is relating with other people. Because right at the get-go, she said, actually, the most stressful situations in our lives is concerns other people. Right? Right. Case in point. And then here's what she says in chapter 5. Whatever it is that we plan to do or you plan to do, other people are going to have an opinion about it. Yes? Whatever it may be. Positive opinion, negative opinion, no opinion. The people in our lives will have an investment in it in the form of opinion. It could be critical. It could be supporting. The point is, they will have an opinion. And case in point here is my very talk today. I had a conversation with John on Wednesday. I said, John, I feel stressed about this talk. What is one of the number one fear? Public speaking. Okay, that's one. That's it. Then I'm covering how many chapters? 4. In the span of 20 minutes. Yikes. And then I need to identify the main points, right? And here's the one factor that I really felt stressed about. What are you going to think about me? Okay? What are you going to think about me? And I was like, oh my gosh. And even and I keep going deep down. And other thoughts are, is my talk going to be good enough? Are they going to get something out of it? What are they going to think about my outfit today? How about my hair? Right? And how about me as a speaker? Or how about me as a licensed Unity teacher? All of that in a matter of not even 10 minutes. And guess how I felt when I was like circling and ruminating around there? Overwhelmed. Yuck. Yes. My stomach was in butterflies. It's all twisting. My heart is heavy. My breathing is shallow. My throat is dry, is tight. And then I said, okay. Let me apply the very thing that I'm going to be talking about. I let them. Okay? So I let you, to think, to feel, to say, or to believe, or whatever it will be. I'm like, I let them. And I paused, and then right after I said that, right after I took a breath and I paused, and I said, I let me. Right after I said that, the word benevolence came up. And even now, as I talk about it, I feel like goosebumps. Benevolence came to mind. And then I'm a curious kid. Out of curiosity, I asked, what does benevolence mean? And benevolence simply means giving or sharing without expecting anything in return. I was like, whoa. Can you imagine, like even for me, giving a talk just simply because I'm just giving and sharing without expecting anything in return? Not a nod, not a shake, nothing. And that's why I love, even this morning, and I did feel, wow, lighter, like something rolled off my shoulder. No pressure, no expectations. And usually when I do a talk, I give a song or two to the music team. Today I said, I let them. And Margot sang my favorite songs. You know, the very song, I Love You, Lord, that's one of my anthem. Opening my heart, that I let go. All of them. So I was like, that's the power of letting them. Letting the music team choose the music. And I just let me be benevolence. Because God is benevolence. Yes? And even the goodness of God that she was talking about reminds me so much of God is benevolence. And how do I see that? Definitely love, definitely mercy, definitely grace. And mercy, by the way, Charles Fillmore defines mercy as righteous adjustment. And it takes benevolence to have that amount of mercy, that second chances and then grace. Grace is the power to restore. It's a restorative power. And I bet we have had a lot of grace, yes? And the cool thing about it is like God, because of the second principle that Casey talked about, I too, you too, are benevolence. Can you imagine being able to give and share without expecting anything in return? Imagine the love that you are. That's who we are. That's who I am. We are that benevolence. Yes? And then from that guide, being the benevolence that we are, here are the two questions that you'll get to meet this week. Which negative opinion of you do you secretly care about? Ooh. Mine, the number one theme for me is, am I good enough? That's one of my secretly, not even secretly now, because it's out in the open, right? And then what would change? This is a very, very juicy question. What would change if you let them think whatever they want? Can you imagine that for you? What would happen? What would change if you let them think whatever they want? In Mel Robbins in the book was posting on Facebook, being visible. That's a big one. And I know that's one for me. At the same time, I'm like, whew, I have a perfect example of starting posting just because. How it lands? C'est la vie. Let them. And to help us further with our practice this week, here's the affirmation that, and Felix, you can come up with the affirmation. Haven't gone over it yet. Take a breath. I will read the affirmation and then I will invite you to affirm it with me. Okay? Today, I release my expectations and reactions, and I hold myself with kindness and self-compassion. Together, today, I release my expectations and reactions, and I hold myself with kindness and self-compassion.